girls, welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everyone who's joined us here on our Emergency Management Associates broadcast tonight. We appreciate you being here. It means a great deal to us knowing that you're watching this broadcast and getting this information that we've worked long and hard on trying to make sure you have the information. We appreciate each and every one of you. We appreciate our military members, whoever they might be around the world. God bless them. God bless our allied military members as well, far and wide around the world. Thank you also for your service. God bless you all. We appreciate each and every one of you. Folks, every once in a while, I'm going to have to go over here to silence my telephone because I've already had over 26 calls from people that continue to harass me on the phone by trying to hawk their wares on the phone. I am getting just beat up today. 26 people, 26 companies have been calling me since 8:30 a.m. this morning. Unreal. We appreciate all of you around the world that are joining us today. Thank you ever so much for being here. Juanito from El Centro, California, thank you for being here. Southern Wolf is here. Thank you so much. Richard Smith from Nova Scotia, Canada, welcome. We appreciate you so much. Demon Catman, one of our great mods here from the east of England. Thank you also for being here. I'm hoping more and more of our mods will join us here shortly. Folks, we have a great deal of things to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about, however, are earthquakes. Okay? I want to go over here and show you some earthquakes. Over here in Japan. Actually, I'm sorry, not Japan. Over here in Taiwan. We've had some earthquakes today. Okay? Right here. Right here. This is 38 kilometers northeast of Hualien City, Taiwan. This was a very large 5.8 earthquake, and I believe it was actually a 6.5 earthquake. That's huge. That is huge, guys. They say it was a 5.8. I'm saying it's at least a 6.5, maybe even as much as a 6.8 earthquake. But again, USGS does not want us to know literally how strong it is. They downgrade the quakes and then they only tell us what they want us to believe. Like I said, I believe that quake was a lot stronger. It hit at 3:45 a.m. Eastern Time today. This hit in the middle of the day on Saturday, Taiwan time. This is a very strong earthquake. Regardless of whether it's a 5.8 or a 6.5, this is a very strong earthquake. This rattled the entire island. There are going to be aftershocks from this quake. A lot of aftershocks. They've already had this one here. This was a foreshock. This was a large 5.0 yesterday. This was also a 5.1 yesterday evening. This one hit at 9:35 p.m. last night. This hit 2 minutes before that at 9:37 p.m. Eastern Time. This hit again at 3:45 a.m. this morning. These two earthquakes were foreshocks from this quake. However, all three earthquakes here are more than that. These are aftershocks of an 8.4 earthquake that hit here months ago. These all are aftershocks of a much larger earthquake. However, these two earthquakes here are foreshocks of this at least 5.8, if not a 6.5 earthquake. Okay? That's what hit here in Taiwan, just off the coast of Taiwan. There are going to be injuries here. This earthquake hit very close to shoreline, 38 kilometers northeast of Hualien City, Taiwan. Okay? Another earthquake that hit over here in Japan. I want to show you this because otherwise nobody will. Literally, nobody will. Over here, and this is, again, USBS showing us this. This is a 4.3 earthquake over here off the southeast coast of Hokkaido, Japan. Right here, right along the coast. This was a moderate earthquake by anybody's standards. Anybody's standards. This is a moderate earthquake. A moderate earthquake. There are only a handful of people in the surrounding area that may have felt this quake. A moderate quake does moderate damage, meaning knocking books off shelves, knickknacks off shelves, rattling plates, knocking pictures off of walls. Okay? Japan is a very, very industrialized country. It's a westernized country. People felt this quake. Okay? It's just a moderate quake. But what is USBS not telling us about? They're not telling us about other earthquakes here off of Japan. Here around Honshu, Japan. Especially, again, over here off the Noto Peninsula. The Noto Peninsula here. Several months ago, I believe it was 3 months ago now, the Noto Peninsula was hit with an 8.4 earthquake. Over 300 people were killed and over 300 others were injured as a result of that quake. Buildings were damaged and knocked flat. Buildings were damaged and knocked flat here on the Noto Peninsula. I just happen to have a dear friend of mine that lives here and teaches school. Incredible. He and his family were not hurt. They got lucky. But there are other earthquakes here around Japan that USBS continues to deny happening. Okay? A lot of others. Over here in Indonesia, Sumatra, Indonesia, here's a 5.1 large earthquake here. This hit at 11:20 Eastern Time today. Again, Saturday evening. Okay? Bengkulu, Indonesia, Sumatra, Indonesia, a large earthquake. Yes, there are other earthquakes here. USBS is only telling us about a handful. This is a 4.8 earthquake here. Again, a moderate earthquake. Unreal. This is in Java, Indonesia, both of these earthquakes. This is a large 5.0 earthquake. A large 5.0 earthquake. This one is close to shore, while this other here, 4.8, is offshore. Notice where this earthquake is. It's on the edge of the plate here. It's on the edge of the plate here. We have a lot of other earthquakes here. This one is a 4.8. This one here is a 5.0. There are some 25 earthquakes here in Indonesia alone. USBS shows us 3. Shows us 3. Over here in Papua New Guinea, this is a 4.7 here. Moderate earthquake. This one is 81 kilometers deep. Still a fairly shallow earthquake. Further northeast here, also Papua New Guinea. This is out in the ocean here, in the Pacific Ocean. a 4.8 earthquake here. But this one is bigger. This one is a lot bigger. This is a 5.6 earthquake here in Papua New Guinea. Kokopo, Papua New Guinea. Folks, we have a lot of earthquakes here every year. This is on land. This is on land. Now, while it is in the mountainous area here of Kokopo, Papua New Guinea, over here on the coastline, there are villages. Not a lot of people live in the mountainous areas. Occasionally, someone will build their home there, their shack there, their shanty. But over here along the coastline, there's actual villages here, especially one right here. This is one of the larger villages here. There are others. They felt the shock wave of this 5.6 earthquake all over this island. A 5.6 earthquake can do a lot of damage. Okay? I want to make sure that everybody knows about this. Okay? So far, there are no news organizations that are talking about this. David is here in chat, says, yes, this morning, massive damage. I want to thank NCWQ Worldwide News Disasters Explorer for being here. She had very serious oral surgery yesterday, and I'm thanking her for being here. She says she's peeking in and not staying. Thank you, Becky. We appreciate you so much for being here. Catherine Sigerson from Canada is here. Thank you so much. God bless you. Our dear friend Hurricane Heather is here. Thank you ever so much. Becky says she's alive. Yes, Becky had very serious oral surgery yesterday. She's in a lot of pain. I've been through a lot of pain myself, and I'm going to see a lot more. Let's go over here to China. USGS is talking about an earthquake here in Pakistan, bordering China here. This is a 4.5 earthquake here. Just here to the southeast in Zhejiang, China, is another 4.2, 15.6 kilometers deep. Okay? Up here in Alaska, you see a lot of earthquakes here. There are 45 earthquakes here in Alaska today. Over here in the upper northern regions in the Arctic Circle area here, this is another 2.5 earthquake near Dog Mine, Alaska. Red Dog Mine, Alaska. This earthquake happened at 1:07 a.m. this morning, Eastern Time. This other earthquake here also happened just after 7:58 a.m. 7:58 a.m. Both of these earthquakes are in the Arctic Circle area. They're the most northernmost earthquakes here in the world, the Arctic Circle area. Over here in Denali National Park, you do see earthquakes. Okay? Not that big a deal today. This one here is over on the northeast side of Mount McKinley. This is a 1.5 tremor. On the southeast side of McKinley, we have a 1.6. Yes, we have earthquakes over here in north central Alaska. This one here is in near Fox, Alaska, a 1.5. North of there, this is also 1.0. We go further northwest here and we have a 1.8 near Stevens Village, Alaska. These here over in Denali, this is the edge of the plate, the North American plate here, the edge of the plate. Okay, then we come down here to the south. Over here is McCarthy, Alaska. This is the largest earthquake in Alaska today. This is a 3.3 earthquake. A 3.3 earthquake here. We go south. Okay? We don't see much of anything happening because the BS agency isn't showing it. Yes, we have 2.5, 3.0, and 1.5 tremors all around Queen Charlotte Island here. Quite a few. Down here around Vancouver Island, we also have quite a few earthquakes in and around Vancouver Island. Most of these are 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, and 3.7 earthquakes here. Over here, USGS is saying this is salt air Canada. They're saying this is an explosion. You know what I say about USGS and explosions? It is an explosion in their own mind. Rarely, if ever, is there actually an explosion. Rarely, if ever, is there actually an explosion. Now, I want to show you this because I want to show you exactly what has happened here. Okay? Again, look where it's happened. Look where this has happened. This is a semi-forested area. Okay? Unless Canadians are blowing up a field here, this was not an explosion. This is nowhere near a town. This is nowhere near a town. This is a spontaneous combustus grass. Spontaneous combustus grass, unless there was a tree there, and then it could have been spontaneous combustus coniferous, an exploding tree. USGS, you need to get your butt out of the ground and try to at least be honest with us. This was a 1/4 mile deep. This was not an explosion. This was not an explosion. This is in the Cascadia subduction zone region. The Cascadia subduction zone region. Look where it was. Look where it was. This whole region is affected by the Cascadia subduction zone. Regardless of where anything is at in this region, the Cascadia subduction zone is effective here. Yes, we do have volcanoes. We do have volcanoes. This earthquake here, Belfair, Washington, a 1.0 tremor here. Not really a big deal, except this is in the Puget Sound area, but it is also southeast of another volcano, right here. Another volcano right here. What do you think it is? Can you say Mount Olympus? A volcano here. This is southeast of the volcano in the Puget Sound area. Crazy. Mount Rainier. USGS wants us to believe there's only a 0.4 microquake here. A 0.4 microquake, 1/3 mile deep inside the volcano. Inside the volcano. Where are they trying to hide? Okay? In the upper reaches of Mount St. Helens, or Mount Rainier here. This is a 0.4. This is about a 1/2 mile deep. Okay? These are just microquakes. We have been showing you a lot of earthquakes here at Mount Rainier in the past, even during the past few days. Heaven forbid the USGS is going to be honest with us and show us what is really happening. Sad. Sad. What am I showing you these earthquakes for? They are at volcanoes. These earthquakes are at volcanoes. This earthquake over on the southeast side of Mount St. Helens, they're calling this a surface quake. This is 1/4 mile deep. This is not a surface quake. Not a surface quake at all. Look at these 3 other earthquakes here in the summit region, sitting on top of a lava plug here. The last time Mount St. Helens erupted, the lava cooled here. We have earthquakes here. This one is a minus 0.3, minus, they say it's above sea level. Folks, this is nearly 1/2 mile deep inside the volcano. Inside the volcano. This is a 0.2 microquake, 6.3 kilometers deep, 3 miles deep. Okay? Incredible. Underneath this magma or this lava plug, we're having these earthquakes. That is because there is molten lava beneath this plug. And it's active. It's hitting this plug every night and every day, 24/7. Interesting how they can say, oh, these are just microquakes. They called one a surface quake. It's not. It's down inside the volcano in the lava, in the magma, I should say. Magma is all of the volcanic molten activity below ground. Lava is when it's above ground. So this is magma beneath the ground causing these quakes. Over here to the northeast here, this they're saying is a 0.2 microquake here. Really? Only a 0.2 microquake. This is 6.7 kilometers deep. 2.25 kilometer, 2.25 mile, actually not 2.25, 3.25 miles deep. What is this one here? They're calling this a minus 0.1, again, because it is allegedly above sea level. Really? Folks, this is just barely 1/4 mile deep. Just barely, actually it's a little over 1/4 mile deep, I'm sorry. Okay? USGS still does not know what they're talking about. Incredible. Each one of these events here are down inside the magma, inside the volcano. Okay? That is what is actually happening. Then southwest of Mount St. Helens, Kelso, Washington. This is a 0.6 microquake. This is 12 kilometers deep, 6 miles deep. Crazy. Crazy. This earthquake here, 0.8 microquake here. 3 Rivers, Oregon. 3 Rivers, Oregon. Guess what? Can you see the volcano here? Folks, can you see this volcano right here? Can you say Crater Lake? Crater Lake is right here. There are vents from volcanic outbursts over here, all over this area. There are volcanic vents that have once spewed lava out onto the landscape here. All over Oregon, literally. Okay? Further south, Fort Bidwell, California, a 1.2 tremor. Interesting. Over here near the coastline, Laytonville, California here, 1.5 tremor here. Interesting. We've had a lot of earthquakes, a lot of other tremors all over here in Laytonville. South of there is a 1.5 tremor there. Now I want to show you these here because this is the geysers. Sonoma, California. Sonoma, California. The geysers here is a geothermal area where men have drilled into the upper magma chambers of this volcano right here. The Clear Lake volcano. Interesting. They drilled into the upper magma chambers of this volcano to obtain steam to power turbines here in the Sonoma County Geysers geothermal facility. Every time one of these holes is found by seismic energy, the seismic energy hits these man-made earthquake faults and fractures the rock inside the man-made earthquake fault tunnel here, the drill point, and causes earth movement. For example, this is a 1.1 tremor here. This is a 1.1 tremor. Let's go over to this event that just happened within the last little while. This is a 0.7 microquake here in the geysers area. Okay? There are 80 different turbine facilities all throughout this area. 80 different turbine facilities where men have drilled into the upper magma chambers of that volcano to pull steam out of the magma chamber to power turbines here in the geysers area. I'm showing you this area here, this turbine facility where you see my cursor here. This is a 10 turbine facility. There are 80 turbines all over the geysers facility. 80 turbines. The steam is provided from these drill points, and they run plastic pipe from the drill points to these turbine facilities with the steam to power the turbines to generate electricity here in the geysers facility. There are 80 turbines here generating electricity for 4 different energy conglomerates, one of them being Pacific Gas and Electric. Another taking power here from the geysers all the way over to Utah, Rocky Mountain Power, and 2 other energy conglomerates as well. Huge facility here. We're showing probably close to 20, 25 earthquakes here. That's typical. That is very typical here. Okay? We go further south, just northeast of San Francisco Bay. In this case, Vallejo, California. Vallejo, California. This is a 2.2 minor earthquake here. Now, while they are not showing other earthquakes here, I'm sure there are earthquakes. This particular 2.2 is very shallow, 4.7 kilometers deep, just barely 2 miles deep. We go south here, right between 2 other earthquake faults. This one here in Vallejo is on an earthquake fault. Over here we have another earthquake fault. This is the Hayward Fault. This is the San Andreas Fault. This fault, and this fault are three of the most dangerous earthquake faults in all of California. We have earthquakes here every day. We go down here south of San Francisco Bay, and all three earthquake faults converge here. They all converge here just northeast of Monterey Bay. This area here is probably one of the most dangerous earthquake fault areas. Three earthquake faults here that are most dangerous in all of California: the Calaveras, the Hayward, and the San Andreas. Here on the Hayward, we have a 1.2 tremor near Alum Rock, California. South of there, this is Seven Trees, California, with a 1.0 tremor here. Over here on the San Andreas, this is Day Valley, California, a 1.8 tremor there. One of the most dangerous areas for earthquakes here. Okay? Right here, Gilroy, California. It's on the Hayward. Right next to it is another earthquake here. 0.7 in San Martin, California. Hayward Fault. Down here we have more earthquakes. This is on the San Andreas. One of the most dangerous towns in all of California. One of the most dangerous towns in all of California. That's because it is the earthquake capital of California, the earthquake capital of the world. Parkfield, California. Today here we have a 1.4 tremor, 1.5 kilometers deep. A very shallow earthquake here. Okay? This is the Garlock Fault here, running between the San Andreas and Ridgecrest, California, out here to the east. The Garlock Fault. One of the most dangerous faults in California. Nobody knew about the Garlock Fault until 2019, when Ridgecrest earthquake hit. Now they're calling it one of the most dangerous faults, because the San Andreas Fault comes out of Northern California, comes down here. It comes down here and intersects with the Garlock. What do you think is going to happen when the Cascadia megathrust earthquake opens up? It's going to trigger the San Andreas Fault. Up at the Triple Junction there, just off the coast of Northern California. It's going to trigger the San Andreas Fault, and the San Andreas Fault is going to take that 9.0, 10.0 energy all the way down to Mexico along the San Andreas Fault. It's going to activate this area as well. Yes, we are supposed to be getting a 10.0, actually 9.0 to a 10.0 earthquake up there just off the coast of Washington State and Canada, British Columbia, Canada. 9.0, 10.0 earthquake off the coast. It's going to ring all across the North American continent. That earthquake is going to be felt all across Canada to the East Coast, all across the United States to the East Coast as well, because it's going to trigger the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault is also going to trigger the Garlock, and every other major city up and down the entire coast California, all the way down here into Mexico, and even down here into southern Mexico. This here is the San Andreas Fault, running along the coast of southern Mexico, intersecting with the Cocos Plate. The Cocos Plate is down here, okay? But the Cascadia megathrust earthquake is going to trigger the San Andreas. And we're going to feel all the way down here. We're going to see a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake affect the entire west coast of the United States and Canada, and all the way up into Alaska as well. Okay? This whole area is going to shake like never before. Okay? Today, Little Lake, California here, Searles Valley, a 1.3 tremor here. Ridgecrest, California, a 1.2 tremor here. The same location where we had a 7.1 earthquake that now scientists are saying was an 8.0 earthquake here. Major earthquake either way. 7.0, 7.1, still a major earthquake. 8.0 absolutely is a major earthquake. It's going to happen again. This energy is going to be felt all the way down here in Los Angeles County. The San Andreas Fault is going to rock all these other faults all over Southern California. Los Angeles is going to be turned upside down. San Diego here is going to be turned upside down. Today, off the coast of Carlsbad, California here, we have a 1.8 tremor. Down here in southern part of San Diego County, over in Chula Vista, California, which is a small town down here north of the border, we have another 1.8 tremor here. Chula Vista, California. Friends of mine, a lot of years ago, wrote a song called Chula Vista. They kind of made fun of the city of Chula Vista. Chula Vista, Chula Vista, Chula Vista, Chula Vista. Yeah, that was the theme of the song. Making fun of Chula Vista because of its closeness to the border. Okay? Down here, just south of the U.S. border, we have another 2.4 earthquake. Okay? This is southwest of a major volcano here. Right here, where my cursor is. Cerro Prado volcano. Cerro Prado volcano. And another 2.4 earthquake just southwest of there. Okay? We have a volcano here, Cerro Prado. North of Cerro Prado here, just in the water here of the Salton Sea, we have the Salton Butte volcano right here. Just underwater here in the Salton Sea, we have Salton Butte volcano. This whole area here of Southern California and Baja California is full of volcanic activity. There's volcanic fields all over this area. Some of this area is raised up as volcano, but the magma never made it to the surface. The magma never made it to the surface, such as this area right here. Right here, the magma came to the surface and raised this area up, but never broke the surface. That's why it looks like a great big circle here. Because magma came up here and uplifted the surface. There are many other very similar events happened here on the Baja California coast. All over here. Literally everywhere. I've seen many of those up and down the coast. Folks, one of the first times that I came down here to Baja California, I was an Explorer Scout. Our Explorer leader brought us down here to Ensenada, California. We surfed over here just off the coast of Ensenada. We even further came down here to Rosarito Beach and camped here near Rosarito Beach. We came down here, right here where you see my cursor here, La Bufadora, the blowhole. See right here, there's a hole right there, right next to the coast, literally, La Bufadora. The water comes surging off the Pacific Ocean up into this hole and blows it hundreds of feet into the air. La Bufadora. A fun place. Back in the day, and I haven't been there in a very long time, but there are stories that it's continuing. There is a Mexican gentleman down there that still is there. He has a rock pot, a great big cauldron of boiling oil. In it, he swirls a doughy rope. He swirls a doughy rope here in his oil. After the doughy rope has been cooked and golden brown, he sprinkles cinnamon and sugar on it and hands it to you for $1, for one whole dollar, down here at La Bufadora. I spent a lot of time here. After I had become an adult, I brought my own scouts down here as well. We camped along the beaches here, but we also went over here, just south of the border. Over here, there was a Mexican gentleman that owned a rather large ranch. And he let us and other scouts from around the world stay on his ranch for a weekend. A glorious time for scouts from all over the world to join forces here and have a camporee. We had a blast. We all had a blast. The adults got to meet other scoutmasters, and the younger boys got to meet other scouts literally from around the world, and they engaged in trading awards and other mementos from the scouting program. Just to give you an idea. I love Mexico. I love Mexico. I love the people. Not everybody in Mexico is bad. I would not travel down there alone any longer, though. Not now, not ever. With all the gangs and the drug cartels, no way would I ever go down to Mexico again. Not on my own, not with other people, not walking across the border, not driving across the border either. It's too dangerous. Just to name a few earthquakes here. Just a few. Let's go over into Utah really quick. What's going on in Utah? Over a week ago, folks, near Thatcher, Utah, we had a 4.5 earthquake. We are still seeing earthquake activity here. This is a 2.4 earthquake. This is a 1.0 tremor. This is a 1.0 tremor. This is a 1.8 tremor here. And south of here, another 0.8 tremor microquake here. Folks, this area here is still getting hit. This is part, I believe, either of the first northern segment of the Wasatch Fault, or it is the second segment of the Wasatch Fault. For those of you that have been with me over four or 5 years, you've heard me speaking about the Wasatch Fault. When I moved to Utah some 15 years ago, I was told that there were 7 segments of the Wasatch Fault. Any segment could erupt in a huge earthquake. They said at the time that there could be up to 6.5 earthquake on the Wasatch Fault. Now they are saying that there's still 7 segments of the Wasatch Fault. Any individual segment could put up a 7.5 earthquake. A 7.5 earthquake. Again, the largest earthquake here was a 4.5 moderate quake just about a week and a half ago. The area is still rumbling. This is either the second northernmost segment of the Wasatch Fault, or it's the northernmost segment of the Wasatch Fault. The northernmost segment of the Wasatch Fault extends all the way up here into Idaho. All the way up here into Idaho. Southeastern Idaho. So we keep seeing earthquakes here. How long are the earthquakes going to continue? We don't know. But as long as we continue to see these kind of earthquakes, there is a chance, a 25% chance, that we could see an even larger earthquake hit this area. The longer these earthquakes hit this area here near Thatcher, Utah, the more chance there's going to be for a much larger earthquake as a result of all these earthquakes here. Okay? Still a big deal. Northern Utah. What the hey? What the hey? One earthquake way up here. Grace, Idaho. East Central Idaho. This is a 1.8 tremor up here. Okay? It's moving. This whole area is moving, guys. The Wasatch Fault extends from way up here in southeastern Idaho all the way down here into central Utah. Central Utah. You can see the fault line going all the way down here. Right here. This is Beaver, Utah. Near Beaver, Utah. The Wasatch Fault. However, guess what we have here? The Black Rock Desert Volcano. The Black Rock Desert Volcano is over here as well. It is alive and well. No, it has not erupted and no one has seen steam from the volcano yet. But all of the volcanoes all around the world are active. And yes, we have seen rocking and rolling at the Black Rock Desert Volcano. Upwards of 2.5 and 3.0 earthquakes at the Black Rock Desert Volcano here. Just so you know. This earthquake here, Summit, Utah, a 1.8. Further south here, 1.6, Bryan Head, Utah. Now, before I leave here, Before we leave Utah, you need to know something else. You need to know something else. Yes, over here. This is just south of where I used to live. Bluffdale, Utah. We've had some earthquakes here. This is a 1.5 tremor. This is a 0.7 microquake. Bluffdale, Utah. Why am I concerned about this? Because right before, literally within 1 year, just prior to the 5.6 earthquake that hit over here, just south of the Great Salt Lake in West Valley, Utah, on March 18th, what was it, 2018? March 18th, 2018, we had a 5.6 earthquake. Prior to that earthquake, we had earthquakes down here. Tremors and microquakes all over this area near Bluffdale. Incredible. Folks, guess where I used to live? Right up here. This is Interstate 15 running between San Diego, California, all the way up to Yellowstone, Montana. I used to live right over here in Sandy, Utah. Interesting, huh? Very interesting. Right here I used to live. When the 5.6 earthquake hit in West Valley, Utah, just south of the Great Salt Lake, we felt that earthquake as a 3.5, 25 miles to the south. It happens. Sorry about that, guys. I hope you can see it better now. This is where I lived, right here. So we are seeing these earthquakes over here in the greater Salt Lake Valley. This whole area here from the Wasatch Fault here, all the way north of the Great Salt Lake. Let me reduce this down. This whole area here used to be called Bonneville Lake. Way back in the day, hundreds of years ago. This whole area was called Bonneville Lake. Okay? Lake Bonneville. We have earthquake faults all over this area. All over this area. That's why we're seeing these earthquakes in Bluffdale, Utah again. Is Utah going to have another large to very large earthquake over here? Possibly. We shall see what we see. But again, we are seeing minor tremors over here in Bluffdale, Utah again. We shall see what we see. It's too bad Don Patoka is not here right now. He and I have talked about this significantly. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Now, down here, I just want to point this out. Let me back this out. This lake here is called Lake Utah, or Utah Lake. Look at the earthquake faults here. Utah Lake faults here. All over underneath the lake here. Faults. Faults all over this place. Are we going to see more? Very likely. Very likely. Okay? All this area is rocking. All this area is rocking. Down here. This is Bryan Head, Utah. Oh, I forgot to say something else that I wanted to talk about over here south of Salt Lake. Okay? Over here in the southern Utah mountains, there is a ski resort here. It's called the Alta Ski Resort. Today we had an avalanche here. This is fairly late in the spring season to have avalanches here. There was an avalanche here that killed 2 skiers here in Alta, Utah here at the ski resort. Sad. So we mourn the loss of 2 skiers here at the Alta Ski Resort. Kel Griffin says you have storm bunkers in your country, don't you? Yes, we do. We absolutely do have storm bunkers here in California and all over the world. There are bunkers all over the world. We have storm bunkers over in Kansas and Oklahoma, Nebraska, Texas, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, all over. Probably also down in Missouri as well. Interesting. Wilson says he's in California and needs a helicopter. I'm in North Carolina. I would love to have a helicopter or have my own plane. There's a reason I'm showing you these earthquakes, guys. We are going to have a lot more earthquakes than what we're seeing here. A lot more. Way down here in southern Texas, Tilden, Texas, this is a 2.0 earthquake here. Why is that important? This area is full of pumps and jacks. Oil wells all over Texas. 2.0 earthquake here. This is a 2.1 here. Over here, Carrizo Springs, Texas, also a 2.0 earthquake. Now, we've not visited Carrizo Springs yet. We've been in Falls City, Texas. We've been in a lot of areas all over Texas, but these earthquakes are a result of oil wells, oil fracking operations in Texas. Look at these fracking plots here. North of the earthquake here. Northeast of the earthquake. East of the earthquake here. Each plot here is a drill point where man has drilled down into the crust of the earth to obtain oil. As a result, we have earthquakes here. Seismic energy seeks out these drill points and fractures the rock inside these man-made earthquake faults. That's what happens. Fractures the walls of these drill points, causing earth shaking. Fracturing the rock, causing earth shaking. That's why this earthquake hit here today. All over Texas, we have these faults, these man-made earthquake faults. Even over here, Fowlerton, Texas, a 2.1 earthquake. Look at these plots, literally all around this earthquake. This is an oil and gas earthquake, a 2.1 earthquake here near Fowlerton, Texas. Then we just go barely northeast here. Tilden, Texas. What the hey? Look at all the earthquake faults here. Look at this. Gas and oil wells all up and down, all around this earthquake fault. Okay? Now, oil and gas wells can go horizontal through the crust of the earth. They can also go perpendicular like this, or they can go straight down, up to 10 miles deep. Any one earthquake that hits anywhere near within a 10-mile radius of one of these oil and gas plots here, it can be considered that this earthquake is an oil and gas fracking quake. And that's what this is. A 2.0 minor earthquake over here in Texas, an oil and gas quake. Texas has, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of pumps and jacks. Texas Texas is huge. Look at this. It's a huge, huge state. Bigger than some countries. Okay? Up here in Oklahoma, Dibble, Oklahoma, we have a 1.8 tremor. Interesting. Over here in Prague, Oklahoma. Prague didn't used to get hit with any oil and gas quakes until recently, within the last year. I never saw any earthquakes in Prague. Now they're happening here every day. This is a 1.3, and over here near Dibble, we have a 1.8 here. 2.5 kilometers deep, 1 mile deep. Oklahoma has 586,000 pumps and jacks. 586,000 pumps and jacks. I'm going to zoom in here. These are oil and gas quakes as well. Look at the plots here. There's a plot there, there's a plot there, there's a plot there. This is a plot, there's a plot, this is a plot, there's a plot. This is an oil and gas quake. This is also an oil and gas quake here. 1.8 tremor. This is a 1.4 tremor, also oil and gas. Incredible. Incredible. 586,000 oil and gas pumps and jacks throughout Oklahoma. I haven't been told yet how many oil and gas wells all over Texas. I'm sure it's a lot more than just Oklahoma. Oklahoma is still a very small state. We move east. The Pneumatic Fault. Cavill, Kentucky. This is a 2.0 earthquake. 2.0 earthquake on the east side of the Pneumatic Fault. This is the fault line. This is the fault line, the Pneumatic Fault, running all the way south into the Gulf of Mexico, running all the way north up here to the Great Lakes, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, this whole area here. These are earthquake faults. Earthquakes all over this area. And we continue every week to show you earthquakes that are hitting this area every day. Fact. Fact. Over here in South America, there have been numerous earthquakes here. It's too doggone bad the USGS is not talking about them. This is a 4.6 earthquake here, a moderate earthquake. 4.6 moderate earthquake. This is 231 kilometers deep. Still a fairly shallow quake, because we have seen earthquakes 500 and 600 kilometers deep. This is a minor type quake, even though it's a 4.6 moderate quake. Okay? It's fairly shallow here at the border region of Chile and Argentina. There are 24 earthquakes here along the coastline, the western coastline of South America. From Colombia all the way over here to Ecuador, all the way over here into Peru, and all the way down here by Chile and Bolivia, Chile and Argentina, and all the way down the coastline here. It's too darn bad USGS won't acknowledge it. They're not even showing any earthquakes here in Europe. Nothing. Nothing. There are 300 earthquakes all over Europe. USGS shows 0. What's wrong with this, USGS? The head of USGS should be fired. The politicians should have someone come back with a huge paddle and beat their backsides for telling the managers of USGS to shut up. Because there are quakes around the world. And these quakes are going to kill people because USBS is not telling the truth. And USBS and the other agencies are in the same boat. Because USGS is telling the other agencies, shut up. Why else would we not see earthquakes all around? There are. There are a lot of earthquakes here. It's too bad they're not showing them. Too bad that they're not showing them. Now, I have some more things to talk about. A lot more things to talk about. I want to go over and talk about the sun. I want to talk to you about the sun because there is a lot happening. For example, right here. Okay? There have been at least 5 to 6 X-class flares. 5 to 6 X-class flares that have been launched off the sun since yesterday. Possibly. Scientists do not know exactly how many X-class flares. They are guessing there's at least 6. Launched off the sun yesterday. The key messages here. I want you to see this. The key messages here. And you can go over to NWS.gov. Space Weather Prediction Center. SWPC.NOAA.gov. Space Weather Prediction Center here by the government. What are we trying to tell you here? There were at least 6 to 7 X-class solar flares yesterday. A severe G4 geomagnetic storm is likely, possibly as early as later today, continuing through the entire weekend. The exact timing remains somewhat uncertain, but at least 7 Earth-directed coronal mass ejections are in transit to the Earth. Some radiation has already struck the Earth within a matter of hours. The solar radiation, the plasma radiation, was launched from the sun at over 200 million miles per hour. Impacts. High-frequency radio communication has already been impacted. Police, fire, medical, and ham radio operators, and airline pilots, air-to-ground pilots communicating with control towers all around the world. Communications have been interrupted. Space to ground communications have also been erupted. Boy, I've got eruptions of volcanoes on the brain. Radio communications have been interrupted between Houston and the space station and Roscosmos over in Russia and the space station. Okay? The astronauts we have in space right now at the space station, we don't believe that we're going to have any problems in space because there are areas of the space station that are specifically shielded to help prevent the astronauts from getting any contamination from radiation. Okay? HF communications, high frequency radio communications, has been interrupted. GPS has also been interrupted. Not just everyday U.S. citizen GPS, but military and NASA GPS, as well as aircraft GPS in the air. Voltage control grids have had some interruptions. Voltage control grids have had interruptions. Spacecraft, satellite navigations. We may have lost some spacecraft. That remains to be seen, especially since the majority of that plasma radiation is still inbound to the Earth. We have lost satellites before now. It's very possible we could still lose some satellites now. Other technologies may also be affected, including television communications. We saw that here where I live last night. Television communications were affected. Now, as I said, there are at least 6 to 7 coronal mass ejections from the sun yesterday that are still in transit to the Earth. Context. Only 3 severe geomagnetic storms have occurred so far as a result of these coronal mass ejections. Only 3 severe G4 geomagnetic storms have occurred so far during this solar cycle. The last was a brief occurrence on March 23rd. This is the Space Weather Prediction Center's first G4 watch since 2005. The last extreme G5 event occurred with Halloween storms in 2003. The cause? The source has been a large, complex sunspot cluster called 3664. 3664. Let me take down this particular page here, and I want to show you this. Okay? What I'm going to show you is a solar disk. I'm going to enlarge it a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm sorry. Down here in the lower southeast part of the sun, sunspot 3664 has been responsible for every one of the coronal mass ejections. Sunspot 3664 has been responsible for every one of the coronal mass ejections so far. Now, with that said, I want to show you something else. Let me bring up that same page here. I want to show you some other things. I want to show you this. Okay? This is the Solar Dynamic Observatory, which is a satellite that is always solar or sun facing. I want to show you what happened here. We had a solar flare off the southeastern side here. You just saw it. We're also seeing one up here on the northwestern side of the sun. Watch again. There's one. There is another one up here to the north. You can see these flares ongoing. Okay? This is what we expect to see happen every day for the next few days. We believe these solar flares are not going to stop. The coronal mass ejections are not going to stop. Now, with that said, let's take a look at the auroras. Look at this. This is the auroral forecast for tonight going into tomorrow. Look how far the aurora is going to the south, to the southern part of Canada, up here into Europe. Look at that. Look at how it expands over into Sweden and Finland. Look at that. Look at this. This is huge, guys. Look at this solar flare. Let's watch it again. The plasma radiation is going to hit the Earth. This is projected. Let's watch this again. Look at that. That's huge, guys. Most of Europe, Canada, into the northern part of the United States, even where I live. Richard Smith over in Nova Scotia. My buddy Canadian Patriot One Dave over in Quebec. Barry over in British Columbia. Catherine Sigerson over in southern Canada. You all are going to see the aurora as we haven't seen in a very long time. Look at that. Look at that major aurora. This is very dangerous. It was red here. See this over here on the left bottom side here? This is red. This is very dangerous solar flare. Some of you that are experiencing health issues, including me, ever since yesterday, I've had a lot of pain in my body. Look what happened here. Look what has continued to happen. This is over here in the orange and even red area. This is very dangerous. That's very dangerous, guys. That's huge. That's huge. Now, does anybody have any questions for me? Does anyone have any questions for me? I'll be happy to answer anyone's questions. This is huge. We have not seen a solar occurrence like this in a lot of years. Kel Griffin says it's nighttime there in UK. You guys may be already seeing these auroras over in Britain. Bob Knobber says, please stay well, friend Ron. You all be well. I hope so. My wife's back also had problems last night. Hurricane Heather's also had some problems. Many of you also have. Kel Griffin says, Ron, Northern Lights in UK. Oh yeah, I can only imagine. Diane Kelman says, will they all arrive at the same time? No, they will continue. They will arrive sporadically and get larger and larger, more colorful, and then they'll go away and they'll restart again. But this is huge. Hurricane Heather says 49 states here in the U.S. are supposed to see the Aurora Borealis. 49 states. This is huge. Most of Europe is going to see the Aurora Borealis this time. Wilson says drink lemon water. That's exactly what I plan on doing tonight as soon as I get off the show. I should have had lemon water earlier today. I just didn't do it. Chris Whitten says Rocky Mountain Power is part of the Pacific Gas and Electricity. Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. It's just one company affiliated with PG&E and two other companies there. I think one of them is California Edison, and I don't remember what the other one is. It's huge. It's huge. But this is what we're going to see. This is exactly what we are going to see. And this is going to be ongoing. This will be ongoing through the rest of the night and into the weekend. Sunday into Saturday into Sunday. This is what we're going to see happen. Fact. I just want to make sure that all of you are aware of it. Again, radio and television communications are going to be interrupted. Radio communications from ham radios. Radio communications from police, fire, and medical personnel. Pilots, air to ground to control towers. Space is going to be affected. This is ongoing. It's really not going to stop. It's really not going to stop. Not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. Brothers and sisters, I want to make sure you have the latest information. I want to make sure you're happy and things are going on in your life. I don't want to see anyone hurt. That's why we're talking about this now. It's literally ongoing. And like I said, it's going to continue going for the rest of the weekend. Heidi Petrick just gave us another $20 super chat. Thank you, Heidi. We appreciate that so much. I'm going to give you an EMA sticker. Thank you so much. She says, be safe, everyone. Hold on to Jesus throughout all of this. God bless you, Ron. You and yours. Thank you so much, Heidi. Thank you ever so much. We appreciate that. God bless you. We appreciate all of you who give us super chats. That means a great deal to us. It helps keep the lights on here in our offices. Okay, we appreciate that so much. It helps us keep the computers going. By the way, I will be doing a computer test probably about noon tomorrow, because we're supposed to be getting another piece of our buffering protection, and hopefully that will be the end of the buffering that we're going to see from YouTube or anybody else tomorrow afternoon. Anyway, just to reiterate, strong geomagnetic storms have reached the Earth, and they're going to continue through the weekend and probably into the beginning next week. There is a severe geomagnetic storm hitting the Earth today for the first time in decades. One of the strongest solar flares ever. And it appears this is ongoing. We're still basically in the middle of the storm cycle 25. Solar cycle 25. It's ramping up. It's not going down. This is ramping up. It's going to continue, guys. You need to be aware of it. A batch of strong solar flares, CMEs, have appeared on the sun over the past few days, prompting the officials to issue a severe geomagnetic storm watch. This storm is all over the newspapers, all over social media. The story was updated from NOAA solar weather update from space earlier this afternoon. An updated forecast. For the latest forecast, you go over to NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. They're space weather prediction forecasters. Space Weather Prediction Center by NOAA. The forecasters have observed at least 7 coronal mass ejections. X-class flares. X-class flares. It's big. It's big. Now, folks, just to give you an idea how big it is, let me tell you this. The forecasters have never seen anything like it. They haven't. The forecasters have not seen anything like it. Nor will the forecasters see anything like it probably in a very long time. Okay? I want to show you something. Just a second here. Okay? Like I said, the forecasting people haven't seen anything like time. Let me get rid of that one. Let me bring up the next one here. Nope, not that one. I thought I had them all set up here. Here it is. Because of these storms, the radiation level is now at KP 8.67. KP 8.67. 24-hour max, KP 8.67 storm. That is a strong geomagnetic storm that's hitting right now, that's ongoing. It's ongoing. Now, I've been on top of this story since about 8 o'clock this morning. I want to give you the information that I've seen so you'll know what's happening. Okay? Again, these CME impacts are going to hit the Earth today. Some of them started hitting the Earth at about noon today. The rest of them will persist through Sunday until 2400 hours, midnight Sunday night. The Space Weather Prediction Center has issued a geomagnetic storm warning starting today. Additional solar eruptions could cause geomagnetic storm conditions to persist through the weekend into next week. The first of several CMEs reached Earth on Friday, today, 12:37 p.m. Eastern Time. The CME was very strong. The Space Weather Prediction Center quickly issued a series of geomagnetic storm warnings at approximately 1:39 p.m. Again, Eastern Time today. A G4/G3 severe geomagnetic storm warning. This storm warning is ongoing. The Space Weather Prediction Center will continue to monitor this situation and provide additional warnings as necessary. You will also get warnings through NOAA's weather radio on your AM/FM weather radio stations, or in my case, also on my police radio here that I have tuned to the police frequencies and to the weather station here locally where I live. Clinton Walsh, who is director of NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center, said this is an unusual and potentially historic event. The CMEs are explosions of plasma and magnetic fields from the sun's corona, just like I showed you. They cause geomagnetic storms when they are Earth-directed, and this was Earth-facing. Geomagnetic storms can impact infrastructure here in Earth orbit and on the Earth's surface, potentially disrupting communications. The electrical power grid could also suffer, disrupting the communications, navigations, radios, and satellite and television operations. The operators of these systems can take proactive action in order to protect the power grid and the radio stations, including the radio antennas. The higher the antennas, the more probability that something could happen to the antenna systems, and the operators may have to replace some antennas as a result of this storm. Okay? The potential for auroras here in the United States could be as far south as Alabama and Northern California. Does everybody have any questions about what has happened on the sun. Wilson says, have your oil lamps, your lights might go out. Not just your oil lamps, folks, but make sure you have flashlights and other light capability, because we may suffer some kind of grid down condition. It may not knock out the entire power grid, but we may see some power grids going down. Okay? Wilson says everything's temporary. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Any questions, guys? Demon Catman, one of my dear mods, one of my dear friends, says T. Hardy had a comment here, and I'm going to go back here and see if I can pull up his comment. He says, what about all the people with pacemakers? Folks, that could also be affected. That could also be affected. I would tell people with pacemakers, don't go outside. Stay inside your homes. Stay inside your homes and stay in the lowest levels of your homes. Don't go up into the second story. Don't go up into the attic. Okay? Stay in the lower parts of your home where you're more shielded. Okay? That's a very good question, T. Hardy. Thank you so much for that. I love these questions, guys. It makes a difference because I'm able to help you all. You all might have a question, and I want to answer those questions as much as possible. It's important. While I'm talking about this, please, folks, please give us a thumbs up. Don't leave this program today without giving us a thumbs up. The thumbs up is part of the analytical factor whereby YouTube makes a decision whether they're going to let other YouTubers see this program. This today is a very important program. Okay? Stay out of the sun, stay indoors if you have a possibility. Okay? Will it affect our cars? It's a possibility. I cannot tell you whether it will or not. This should not be a grid down situation. What we've seen so far would have already leveled our power grid and leveled us back into the 18th century. It has not done that. Yes, it's possible that it could cause our cars to have problems. Okay? I'm not saying it won't, and I can't say it will. It's possible. JG says, will the like button affect your like credit rating? No. No, it won't. It has nothing to do with it. Has this happened to me before? Long time ago, EK. EK Tongue, Touge says, has this happened before? Yes, it has. Okay? There was a Carrington event in 1859. Okay? JG says it adds 10 points to your credit score. Thanks, Heather. I needed that. Thank you so much. That's great, Heather. Way to go. Diane Kelman says, great, I have to work tomorrow. You can go to work, but if you have to go to work, stay indoors if you can. Richard Smith says, Ron, I may try calling out on CB radio for you after only basic CB, no sideband. Richard, what channel are you going to be calling on? Because then I'll turn on my CB radio and see if we can hear you. Or see if we can talk. That would be great. And what time would you do that? Tonight? Late tonight? Tomorrow morning? Heidi Patrick says, can these flares affect our pets? Heidi, it's a possibility. It can affect the health of humans. It can affect our minds. It can affect our blood. Approximately 85% of our bodies are water. The same thing with our pets. So if our bodies can be affected by what's happening in space, with these solar flares, it can affect our pets as well. If you see your pet more sluggish, just cuddle it, hold it, keep it inside. Don't allow your pets to stay outside. Please don't allow that. Richard says you pick the channel. How about channel 17, Richard? CB channel 17. That would be cool. Rob 52's here. He's been draining his pool. Rob 52 and I talked earlier. He's draining his 10,000 gallon pool. Said it might take a few hours. 6 or 7 hours, yes. Kel Griffin says her dogs have definitely been down too. They may act sluggish, not really wanting to eat too much or drink too much water, but they still need to drink and eat. Okay? Kate Roberts is asking when will this start? It started yesterday. The solar flares started yesterday and within hours, because this is the highest speed rating of flares that we've ever had. Over 200 million miles an hour. This plasma radiation is traveling towards the Earth at more than 200 million miles per hour. Some of this flare activity hit the Earth within 2 hours after it launched from the sun. But the majority of this plasma radiation will hit the Earth today, and it already has, starting about 12:37 today at noon. Okay? Van Geising says Missouri. Wow. Yes, Missouri is going to be feeling the brunt of this as well. Okay? Nancy Wolfer says, hi everyone from Littleton, Colorado. I used to live in Littleton. I had a house on Ontario Drive. A great place. I love Littleton. One of my favorite places I've ever lived. I still have a lot of wonderful friends in Littleton. It was a great place. Santa Utah was a great place. All of Utah was a great place. I was born in southeastern Idaho, a great place. Wilson says he loves Littleton. There's a lot of us that love Littleton. Unreal. Littleton's a great town, just southwest of Denver. Anyway, watch out for what's going on. Stay indoors and keep your animals indoors as much as possible. Yes, cattle and goats and chickens and lambs and hogs and all the other animals could be affected. If at all possible, keep your horses and all these other animals in a barn. Keep them in the barn. Keep them cool. Keep them fed. That way they're not going to be affected horribly bad. We don't know how bad these solar flares are going to get. We don't. I'm just giving you preliminary information. I will never tell you these are grid down. You're not going to hear that out of my mouth. I will never say that. But I'm putting up the warning voice that these flares can be harmful. I am telling you that now. Okay? Nancy Wolfer says, around the corner on Zephyr, right off Ontario. I live there. Yes, I lived there between, well, actually, I moved there in April 2000, and I stayed there till 2010. Okay? Kate Roberts is asking, when will the solar flares end? Probably either Sunday night, but some of the solar flares could continue through the beginning of the week. I will keep you updated about what's going on. I may even come on the air Sunday evening to give you an update, depending on what's going on. I will come on the air on Monday letting you know what's going on. Nancy Wolfer says, I should have known you. Yeah, that would have been great. That would have been great. Richard Smith says, we'll be monitoring for the ISS after two. That's good. The ISS would be a good thing to monitor. Okay? That would be great. Nancy Wolfer said she moved to Littleton in 2002, right around the corner. So Nancy Wolfer and I were probably neighbors. Incredible. That's fun. Sweet Polly Purebred said, what KP index? The KP index is a measure of radiation, harmful radiation. The KP index is 8.6 right now. That is the upper part of the KP index. That's harmful. That's harmful. Okay. I think Nancy's asking, when will it reach Earth? It's already reached Earth. The solar flares were launched yesterday during the day from the sun, from the lower southeast side of the sun at sunspot 3664. I showed you a copy of that just a few minutes ago. After this program is over, you can scroll back through this program and find the solar disk I showed you where sunspot 3664 was on the lower right-hand side of the solar disk. Earth face. Okay? It reached the Earth almost within the first 2 hours. But the majority of the radiation started hitting Earth today at 12:36 p.m. It's going to continue. Danny Huddleton is asking a good question here. And this is good. Danny, thank you so much for that. Do clouds help stop the radiation? To a certain extent. Only to a certain extent. The plasma radiation, folks, goes through like water. Okay? It goes right through the clouds, and guess what? The clouds are made of what? Water. So if the clouds are carrying some of that radiation, because the plasma radiation is going through the clouds towards the surface of the Earth, guess what? The rain that's in those clouds or carried by those clouds is also going to fall to the Earth at some point. Some of it, because the plasma radiation is heated up, some of that water from those clouds will immediately hit the Earth. Because the plasma radiation will heat up the clouds, and that water will heat up the Earth, will hit the surface of the Earth. Okay? Wilson says, because now for a week it will burn your skin. I don't know. But I wouldn't trust it. If I were you, I'd wear a long sleeve shirt if you're going to be out of your car or outside your house or outside of a building during the day, and wear a hat. Wear a hat. I would even, and this may sound kind of weird, but I would even put aluminum foil on the inside of your hard hat. If you have a hard hat, put aluminum foil to help protect your head. That's just something that I thought about. That might help you. Because the solar radiation, that plasma radiation, could affect your body, and it does. It affects the way we think, the way we feel, everything. Okay? Diane Kelman says, what if it rains? That means that plasma radiation coming through the magnetosphere, coming through our atmosphere, going to hit the Earth. It is going to hit the Earth. It's going to heat up the plates of the Earth. So we're going to see more and more earthquakes, even possibly severe earthquakes. Okay? So we may see more severe earthquakes. And in fact, I'm surprised we haven't seen 6.0, 6.5, 6.8s, or even 7.0s already. It's been 24 hours. So in the next 48 to 72 hours, we could see very strong 7.0 major earthquakes all around the world. Could there be more severe storms? Possibly. I'm not a weatherman, but I'm telling you that solar radiation goes through the clouds, and with the weather manipulation that we've already seen, anything's possible. Wilson says, you pray for Ron. You shall be praised. Folks, I'm only a mouthpiece. I'm not a weatherman. I know a little bit about everything. But that's why I'm here, trying to give you more and more information so that I can help protect you. That's why we're here. That's why my friend Mark Wage is also on the air talking about these solar storms. Mark Wages is an expert. He says he isn't, but he is an expert. He knows more about this than even I do. Go over to Mark Wages' program on YouTube. He started putting out a program yesterday, a very good program about what's going on. A few hours ago, earlier today, he put up another program. Go over there. Before the end, not before. Within 15 minutes after I get off the air, I will put up a program description on the top of my program description right below this video today. Right below the video, you're going to see a program description. Go there within 15 minutes after our program's over. I will give you a link to Mark Wages' programs. That way you can go back and listen to what he says. Mark Wages is an expert here. Nancy Wolfer says, so glad you're here, Ron. You know a ton. Yeah, I know enough to get myself in trouble. I'm somewhat of an earthquake expert. I'm considered a subject matter expert. They call me a subject matter expert. Wilson, thank you for that $10 super chat, and I just gave you an EMA sticker for that. Thank you so much for that. You also gave me a thumbs up. That's great. I appreciate that so much, Wilson. All of you who give us thumbs up, I greatly appreciate. It helps us keep the lights on here, helps us keep the internet going here. It's expensive to do these programs. It cost me over $100 for internet. Hurricane Heather says Wages is live right now. That's awesome. He tries not to go live when I'm on the air. And he'll tell people, go over to see Ron's channel if I go live when he's on the air. See Ron's channel and then come back and watch my channel later. That's what he says. I've heard him. But Mark Wages is a solar expert. Okay? He really is. It's unreal. I have never met Mark personally. I hope we do meet one of these first days. I love he and his family. I've learned more about him over the years. He's awesome. He and his people are awesome. Go over and drink his red Kool-Aid, as he calls it. Okay? Anyway, guys, also want to tell you something else. And then I'm going to talk about emergency preparedness for a little while. We've talked a lot about protests over the last few weeks. Protests all over the world. Here in the United States, everywhere. Guess what happened yesterday? And even into today. Over in Germany, idiots started protesting Tesla. Climate activists in Germany were protesting Tesla and their expansion in Germany. What they call a gigafactory, a huge Tesla factory in Germany. Many people were trying to gain access, unauthorized access, to the Tesla factory premises. Brandenburg, Germany police on X, formerly Twitter, said they were working to prevent the unauthorized access to the Tesla facility. According to Disrupt, a coalition that claims they have led the protests, about 800 activists were on site as part of the Disrupt Tesla Action Days. Isn't that interesting? These activists, these protesters, are still doing it in Germany, just like the protesters are doing right now in New York City. They wanted to take down New York. The protesters want to cause massive trouble in New York. Guess what? Most of the police in New York are conservative cops. Watch what happens when these left-wing communist Democrat protesters raise Cain in New York. Watch what happens when these police deal with protesters in New York. Activists are highlighting the Tesla group in Germany as being responsible for groundwater temptation. Groundwater temptation, theft of resources, and the endangerment of people globally. That's according to these activists called Disrupt. Okay? Despite their local protests, the Tesla automaker, Elon Musk, is planning to expand its footprint, which it looks to do so by clearing forest space in Germany. Brandenburg police claim that several masked individuals climbed over the fence at Tesla and at the Nürburgring airport and proceeded to damage dozens of Tesla vehicles with paint. Those individuals then allegedly blocked the main entrance to the airport and held an emergency meeting. Those protesters held an emergency meeting to gather more people into their flock. In videos over on X and other places, all online, it shows the videos with police clashing with the protesters, pepper spraying and tasing dozens of individuals sporting caps and face masks. These dirtbag protesters are cowards. These dirtbag protesters are cowards, just like they're here in the United States. They don't want their identities to be known. So they put on face masks and hair and ball caps. Well, guess what? These police in Germany and all over the world, including the United States, have video cameras. And they can look on somebody's face and their eyes and pretty much find out who they are. Unreal. Law enforcement officials said they made many arrests, adding that several people were also injured, according to police officers, including cops. The police were also injured by these protesters. Tesla factory workers, however, were reportedly warned ahead of time about the incoming demonstration. Opposition in Germany didn't stop CEO Elon Musk from blasting protesters on X. In one such post, Musk claimed, quote, "Something super weird is going on as Tesla was the only car company attacked." The only car company attacked because why? Musk is from the United States. Musk is from the United States, and that's why they attacked Tesla. They will continue to attack American interests wherever they are. So everyone needs to keep a heads up. Keep away from protests. If you see a group of people getting together and they're yelling and screaming and calling people names, get away from there. Don't go anywhere near there. Okay? I'm just giving you a heads up. You need to be careful. These people don't care. These people don't care. Kel Griffin is in the UK and she's going to go to bed. She'll watch this program later. I appreciate that. Diane Kelman says they don't get a job to make the world better. No, they don't. They think their protests are going to keep them safe. It's not. It's not. Their protests are going to get them dead. Their protests are going to get them dead. Okay? It's sad. It's sad. These protesters need to wake up. Because once President Trump is president again, he said one of the first actions he's going to take is deporting these millions of people that have come across the border illegally. So if they think they're going to cause problems here in the United States, they better leave. They better leave. Because Biden won't be president come the end of this year. Biden will not be president come the end of this year. He'll be done with. He'll be done with. For those of you who would like to send me an email, Rob52 put my email address and my address, or you can send me cards and letters, even donations in the mail, here right to my post box here in Morganton. It's 104 North Green Street. Box 105. 104 North Green Street, box 105, here in Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code is 28655. Okay? And I'm hoping to get our Wix site back up. We had a website, but my webmaster got pissed off and took my website down. I'm hoping to put it up again sometime within the next few months. I want my website back. It was a darn good website, and she had no business taking it down. And if she's watching this program right now, I hope she feels bad. I took her name off of the program description because I don't want people doing any harm to her. But I hope she gets spanked. Diane Tillman says she sent me a check this week. Thank you so much, Diane. I appreciate that so much. It means the world to me. It keeps the lights on here, guys. I've used your donations to keep the lights on. I've used your donations here to help my wife and I here. I've used your donations during the past few months to get a computer so we can stay on the air. And I'm doing that now. I'm using my tablet here to keep us on the air. However, I'm hoping starting tomorrow about noon, we'll be back on our computer, our new computer that I have outfitted with software and other things to stop the buffering. I'm hoping that's done as of tomorrow. Demon Catman says many are paid by Soros and others to protest. You're absolutely right. Soros. And guess who else? Bill and Melinda Gates and other communist factions. There's a foundation of Democrat communist people that are sending money to these protesters. Why do you think they have the same color and same size tents and the same signs? Unreal. Unreal. And the news media has actually spoken to some of the protesters, and they say, they've told the news media, they don't know why they're protesting. They have no inkling why they're protesting. They're just getting paid to do it. Wilson says, you have an audience that has your back, keep the faith on. And I appreciate that. That's why I'm still here on the air. Honestly. Because I have an audience that has my back. And I love each and every one of you. I do. You guys are what keeps me going. Because I care. I care. Let me show you, before I talk about preparedness now, I want to show you a picture of protesters in Germany being picked up by the police. This is good. This is really good. Look at these protesters, guys. Look at this guy, this kid. They picked him up, they tied his feet together, picked him up and hauled him away from the protests. The cops made a lot of arrests. We shall see what happens here in Germany and elsewhere when these stupid kids get together and cause problems. That's what they do best, causing problems. Okay. Does anybody have a question about anything I've said so far? I want to make sure I've covered all the bases here. I think what we've told you is important. Nancy Wolfer says, I have to put on pause, I'll be back. I appreciate that. I do appreciate it. One of the first things I want to talk about here is being prepared for any kind of situation. We talked about this before. I want you all to be prepared for whatever happens, whether it be a flood, whether it be a heavy rain like we just had here, whether it's tornadoes. Tornadoes. Over here just north of Charlotte, North Carolina, we had a tornado here that was an F3, an F3 tornado. It was 18 miles long and 400 meters wide. 400 meters wide and 14 miles long. It did a lot of damage. It destroyed mobile home parks. It destroyed homes. It knocked over trees. It tore apart roads and bridges. It picked up and threw cars for miles, and all kinds of other property that damaged. Now, in the United States and everywhere, there is nowhere that isn't susceptible to weather. Nowhere. But when cities, citizens and residents of cities all around the world don't plan for rains and floods and wildfires, there's a lot of expensive damage that happens. And sometimes people die. That's why we want you all to be prepared for whatever happens. We've talked a lot about wildfires in the past 5 years. We talked about rain and floods and snow and hurricanes, tornadoes, all kinds of manner of disruption of our lives. Wilson says Tornado Alley has gotten way bigger than it was before. I know it has. I used to live in Fargo, North Dakota when I was a kid. We used to stand on top of my parents' home near the roof line and watch the tornado pass 7 miles away and destroy a gas station. The gas station pumps were lit up by fire. We saw the fire up into the sky from 7 miles away. Tornadoes have been all over now. The footprint for Tornado Alley is not just from the Canadian border south, but east as well, all the way to the coastline, all the way from the coastline, from the central Midwest, all the way to the coastline in the south. We've seen it. In our country, we see this all too often. When cities and countries don't plan ahead for floods and wildfires and other kinds of disruptions, it can lead to extensive damage, expensive damage, and sometimes people die. That's why researchers are looking at what can be done before a disaster strikes to save lives and save money. These kinds of numbers, billions of dollars, are being analyzed right now to help make decisions on whether to mitigate or plan for these disasters or not to mitigate and let them just go. And not mitigating, I don't believe the researchers or the city fathers have no business ignoring it. Because then there's going to be more property damage that cities, counties, and states and countries can't handle, and more people are going to die. We have a responsibility to protect ourselves and our property and our families. We have those responsibilities. Colorado University research professor Keith Porter said, "You have to decide how much you can afford right now. These numbers should help you make a decision on what you're going to do. But you have to make a decision now what you can afford right now. And then move forward on what you can and will afford later." According to recent research that we've done, communities that act now to protect themselves from future hazards like earthquakes and hurricanes, floods, wildfires, snow, and tornadoes can save themselves as much as $11 for every dollar that they initially invest. They can save themselves as much as $11 for every dollar they initially invest. If they invest $2 million, guess what? They can save themselves $22 million in damages. The reports that I've seen and I've helped put together also found that exceeding required building codes can also bring extra savings of $4 for every dollar spent. Exceeding building codes. A lot of people throughout this world do not like building codes, and as a result, in many places, there are no building codes. And what happens? These places have their homes and businesses completely destroyed. If you are into emergency planning, and we talk significantly about emergency planning on this show, it's big savings to you in terms of money that you individually spend on how you're going to protect yourselves. You can save a lot of money if you start preparing now. It's a big savings, and it's very cost effective if you start now preparing for what can happen. Professor Porter said the challenge is convincing people to see short-term investments. Short-term investments paying off in the long run. We've been talking about this, guys. Talking about it. If you start preparing right now, you're going to save your families. You're going to save your families. You're going to save yourselves property. You're going to save yourselves in terms of supplies. Because the more that you put together supplies, the better off you're going to be. Because if you don't have supplies, you're going to go destitute when something major happens. Rob 52 says I need to turn down my notification sounds. Next time I have a notification, in fact, let me do this. I'll turn it way down right now. I'll turn it off. Off. It's gone. It's gone. Anyway, guys, make these short-term investments on your future. Have a plan. Have a plan. Start it now. I talk about planning all the time. Please do this. It's going to save you. If we have a plan, this benefit of having a plan over the long run is going to save you money. and it's going to save your lives. It's going to help you to construct and design your financial plan and your life plan. It's going to save your family, your children and grandchildren, and save your spouse's lives. Okay? This is absolutely necessary. This is called mitigation. Emergency mitigation, emergency planning. Now, I personally have seen investment in natural hazard mitigation, planning for floods, planning for all kinds of disasters. I've been on disaster drills all over the country, all over the United States, and I have also helped plan for disasters and emergencies over on the other side of the world. Now, just for example, a fuel break costing around $1 million to implement a fuel break, stopping a fire. A fuel break. Burning out a section of the ground in order to stop a wildfire from happening in the future. Guess what? In building those fire breaks, starting those fire breaks, guess what? Those fire breaks have stopped the fires from burning. In Colorado itself, the firefighters built what they call a fuel break. They burned off ground plants that had gone dry. That would have been great for wildfires. They got rid of them. They established a fire break or a fuel break. It stopped, those fuel breaks have stopped the Buffalo Fire in Colorado. The Buffalo Fire burned through 2 subdivisions in Silverthorne, Colorado in June 2018. We've also seen where there's no investment. A flood tore through a city called Inglewood in Denver, south of Denver. A flood tore through Inglewood in 2018 as well. It killed a woman in its path. City leaders said that funds were not allocated for storm drain upgrades. Funds were not allocated through the city for upgrading storm drains. And guess what? The streets flooded, homes were flooded, and 1 woman was killed. The most interesting finding for studies that I've been part of was complying with current international building codes. Current international building codes. In Colorado, for example, and yes, I spent a lot of time in Colorado, so I can speak about this. In Colorado is what they call a home rule state, which means cities can select building codes themselves, or what they won't do. Cities in Colorado or towns in Colorado can decide to select what codes they're going to obey and what building codes are not. If you are thinking about moving to a city that is on some old code or is not enforcing the building codes or is not bothering to update the building codes, that puts you at risk. That puts you and your home at risk. A risk people are hoping will protect themselves. But if you're not trying to help yourself, you're going to hurt yourself. If you're not trying to help yourself, you're going to hurt yourself. The bottom line is this: how much are you willing to gamble in order to have a building code that is just minimum or adequate? How much are you willing to allocate for your own family of having an emergency plan on how everyone, you and everyone in your family, is going to react and what you need to do when a disaster happens so you can get through the other side of the disaster and come out fairly unscathed? It's called planning. What are you willing to do to have a plan? To help yourself, to save your family's lives. Each and every one of us needs to start thinking now about what disasters that you might face, where you live or where you work. What steps you need to take to protect yourselves and your homes. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to do? I ask everyone that at least once a week. What are you willing to do to protect yourselves? I think this is a good question. No, I think it's a great question. What are you willing to do to save yourselves? What are you willing to do to save yourselves? Something else that I think is very important for each one of us, me included, is making sure you have the documents on hand that you need during and after an emergency. What documents do you need to have? Jan USMC is here. Thank you for being here. We haven't seen you for a while. Thank you for being here. We want you here. What kind of documents do you need to keep on hand for an emergency? Part of being prepared for emergency situations is having everything you need ready to put your life back together again. Should something happen, you might want to have things together so you can come out the other side. You have insurance. You have food, water, and financial savings in order to rebuild your life once the emergency is over. You need to have other measures in place as well. We talk about finances. Every time you get paid, you need to salt a little bit of that money away. Put it in a plastic bag in your emergency preparedness kit. Put it in a plastic bag and salt it away for an emergency. Okay? Put a little money each time you get paid into a plastic bag. You need to have plastic bags for a lot of things. In order to rebuild your life once the emergency is over, you need to have measures in place that you can't avoid any longer. A collection of important documents is one of the most important parts of your emergency preparedness plan and your emergency preparedness kit. These documents need to be compiled together in a bundle, in a binder even, and put in your emergency preparedness kit. These documents need to be compiled together in a binder or a portable file system and kept safe, in a safe place, preferably in a locked safe or these plastic baggies that we talked about, these gallon baggies that can Ziploc. Put them in your emergency kit. Make copies of them and put them in your kit. You can put a copy in your safe or your safe deposit box in the bank. Or if you don't want to do that, give them to your attorney, if you can afford an attorney, to keep them safe for you. Okay? In any event, you and at least one or two other trusted individuals should be the only people who can access those documents. If you don't have somebody you trust, put the information in your will and trust, held by your attorney. These documents can also be in at least two different places. Your personal safe, in a bank vault, or other trusted institution. And I'm saying in your emergency preparedness kit, because that's what you're going to take when an emergency happens whether you are bugging out or sheltering in place. Okay? Wherever you store these documents, make sure you can access them during an emergency. Emergency contact information. Do not just keep it on your phone. What if the phone dies? What if your phone gets waterlogged and you no longer have access to your emergency lists, your contacts? Have them written down and put them in a Ziploc baggie. Okay? Copy those things down and put them in a Ziploc baggie to keep them dry. That way you'll always have access to family phones, family numbers, addresses. People that are outside your area as emergency contacts will also be especially helpful. How about school and child care information? Insurance-affiliated doctors, dentists and hospitals, insurance companies, home, life, casualty, auto, health insurance. Keep all that stuff in a baggie. You might want to have every baggie labeled as to what information is for whom. Okay? In some emergencies, you don't have options for in-network health care. If you do, it will save your time and money in the future. How about working client information? How about your working client information? Have that written down and put that in your emergency kit. Utility companies, electricity, water, gas, phone. Have your account numbers and contact numbers for those companies. Put them away. Put those in your emergency preparedness kit. How about clergy, your church information? Get those phone numbers and put them in a plastic baggie so you'll always have that. Vital identifying documents. Vital documents are important to have on hand for identity issues. Driver's licenses, passports, visas, any identification that you have. I have important DHS, Department of Homeland Security identification. I have an X clearance. I carry an X clearance. That way I can go wherever I'm needed to go. I have copies of everything, and I keep those in specified places. That way I'm always able to go and do the things I need to do. Okay? Make sure you have all of these documents. You're going to need them. You're going to need them, guys. You're going to need them forever. Forever and ever. Okay? Make sure this is important. Make sure it's important for you. Why? Because it's going to affect you and your family and your family's well-being, your well-being. I promise you that. You need to do this, guys. It's important. Vital documents are important to have on hand for identity issues. However, this information could be very sensitive. Remember to store these things in a very secure place. Copies of the following documents might be helpful. Driver's licenses, Social Security numbers and cards, birth certificates, passports, driver's licenses or ID cards of any kind. Okay? Some airports don't recognize driver's licenses as official ID. Think about it. Legal documents. Power of attorney for you and for your members of your family. Okay? Think about that. How about title deed, renters, and mortgage information? title deed and renter's mortgage information. Copies of wills and trusts. You can do basic online versions or have an attorney fill one out for you. Make copies and put it away where you can save it. You may need it. The benefit of having an attorney is he or she can keep the records as well, so you have backup. Car titles, car insurance information, renters and homeowners insurance, other legal documents, naturalization and adoption, rental and lease agreements, spouse death certificate, needed to verify name changes, wedding marriage licenses needed to verify name changes, insurance policies, home insurance, life insurance, renter's insurance, car insurance, health insurance. Inventory all of your possessions in your home with pictures. Give one copy of the pictures to your insurance agent. That way your insurance agent will have a copy of the possessions of your home, so in the event something happens to your home, guess what? The insurance company will already have a representative that knows what you have, so they can pay you. So you can be in a home again very soon after the emergency happens. Okay? Hurricane Heather says, we have bug out bags. If you don't have one, please get that sorted. Make sure you have that, guys. It's important. Wilson says he has a clearance to the Naval Weapons Station in Virginia in his wallet. That's important. This is important, guys. This is exactly what we're talking about here. Hurricane Heather says proper prior preparedness prevents poor performance. Always. Always. Again, one of my favorite people here, Demon Catman, DCM. Never leave a bug out bag, a BOB behind. Never leave a bug out bag behind, because that bug out bag is going to contain your life. Hurricane Heather says, I don't go to the store without my 72-hour kit. I don't either. Make sure you have a copy of your work ID. I don't know how many times in the past that I have been asked for a work identification card. Whether I'm going on a military base, whether I'm going onto a federal installation, into a federal building, or a state building, or a county building. You need to have an ID. Okay? How about emergency plans? How many times have we talked about emergency plans on this channel? I talk about it all the time. Laura Marie just gave us a $50 super chat. Thank you so much, Laura. God bless you for that. We sure appreciate you, dear. Laura's one of my dearest friends from way back when. I appreciate that, Laura. God bless you. Emergency plans. Each one of our family members, you and my family, we all should have a written out emergency plan with phone numbers and addresses in safe places. Consider having planned escape routes in and out of your city or your town. Have a hard copy of your phone tree. Don't just leave your phone, all your phone information on your phone. If you drop your phone into a toilet, my wife's done that. I had to get her a new phone. She lost most of the phone numbers except ones that she had memorized for our family. Don't just keep them on your phone. Write them down. Write them down, please. I'm trying to help you. Catherine Sigerson says, smoke in the distance is scary. I agree it is. That's why we're talking about this. This is important. You and your family should have a written out emergency plan detailing phone numbers, addresses, and safe places, planned escape routes in and out of your city or your town, cash. Like I said, salt away a little cash, put it in one of those baggies inside your preparedness kit. That way, if you have to bug out, you grab your preparedness kit and you're gone. And you have whatever you need. Have cash and small bills. Never, ever have more than $10 in bills. Don't carry any more than a $10 bill. Have $10 bills, $5 bills, $1 bills. Have cash, coin. Why? Because a store might not have access to cash because their electricity's off. So if you want to buy a soda, you want to buy a bottle of milk, a can of milk, or any kind of milk, or anything else. If it costs less than $20 and you hand the clerk a $20 bill, guess what? You're out of money. Don't keep any more than a $10 bill. You might have several $10 bills, but never anything over a $10 bill. Ever. Okay? Never have that kind of cash. Keep it in small denominations. Okay? Have these bills in a binder, a folder, a bag. You can't count on everybody being able to break a $100 bill or even a $50 bill or a $20 bill in the event of a power outage. Keep your money in small denominations. Okay? Maps. Don't depend on your phone maps. Don't depend on your phone maps. I have right beside me an atlas of the United States and several other countries. Right beside me here in my emergency kit, I have a map of my state, several states. I have a map of cities and towns to get out of. Highways. Have maps, paper maps. Put them in plastic bags and be able to seal them to keep them nice and safe. Please do that for your own sake and your family's sake. Okay? Have a local state and country map in your binder or a bag so you know the best routes to safety, and make marks on the map showing your routes to get out of town. Mark on your maps different routes. Have at least 3 routes available. Your goal after any emergency is to get your life back on track as soon as you possibly can. Having your proper papers and documents readily available will help you get to where you want to go and help you to realize your preparedness goals. Are there any other documents you feel might be important to keep with you? Tell me about it. Send me emails or text messages and let me know what other documents might be important so I can pass this information on. It's vital for everybody. Okay? It's vital for everybody. Now, Catherine Wolfer is also saying, don't think your usual major highways will be available. In the past, I've always said, never, ever take a major highway. Stay on surface streets. Why? Those major highways could be blocked by National Guard or police that are checking to see where you're going and why you're going. It's none of their darn business. Take surface streets. Do your best to avoid roadblocks. Do your best to avoid roadblocks. Okay? Have at least 3 ways out of town. 3 ways out of Dodge. That way, if one place is blocked or the street's down, you can't pass, you've got some other place to go to get to where you want to go. On the same token, have at least 3 places that you want to go to. Because if one place is full, you're out of luck. Make sure you have at least 3 places to go. Okay? That will save your life. That will save your life. Wilson is also saying have a good pair of walking shoes or hiking shoes or boots. Okay? Good thick-soled shoes and boots in your car. Make sure you have water and snacks. Water and snacks. Folks, my emergency preparedness kit I've shown to you. I've got a 72-hour kit. I've got a bug-out bag. I've got an emergency preparedness kit. My wife has those same things. We've got 4 or 5 totes that we put our life into that we can take and put in our car and leave. Leave everything else behind. It's important. Or I would not even be talking to you about it tonight. I harp on it. I harp on it every day that I can. Because I care. Nancy's asking here in the chat, Nancy Wolfer's asking, is there a link to your list, Ron? There was a link on my website, but I don't have my website any longer. I am going to build that website back. If you want a link to some of these things, send me an email and I will send you links. I will send you lists that I have to help you. Let me know what you want and I will send it to you. If I don't have it, I will find the information and I will share it here and also send you information as well. Diane Cummins says little stoves. Oh yes, camping stoves, cooking utensils, absolutely. I've got all that in our 72-hour kit. I've got it also in our emergency preparedness kit. Okay? I've got my grill. I can break down my grill in less than 10 minutes and throw it in the car and we'd be gone. I'm ready. I'm ready, willing, and able. Okay? I'm asking all of you to do the same. This is absolutely vital. Our world is falling apart as we speak. Our world is falling apart as we speak. We have protesters in our cities, our states, and our countries. And they are ready, willing, and able to take everything away from us. What are you doing to protect yourselves? Maybe I need to have one night to nothing else but protection for each member of our family. Okay? Maybe we need that. Catherine Sigerson says, I packed aspirin in case I have to walk home. She says she's not young. You're young in heart, Catherine. You can do this and everything else. Wilson says, have propane. Absolutely. Propane can save your life. Propane, a cook stove, or a grill can save your life. Nancy Wolfer is talking about a Morse code chart. That might be helpful. Ham radio operators used to be required to learn Morse code. Now that's not so now. Not so now. I know Morse code. I know it like the back of my hand because I memorized it when I was a scout leader. Or even back then when I was a scout, a lot of years ago. I taught it as a scout leader. I taught ham radio operations. I taught semaphore, flag operations, so people could communicate. In fact, I probably have semaphores in my emergency preparedness kit now. I probably still have them. I remember seeing them because I had them in a little round can. Yes, a little round can. Unreal. Don Patoka says 2 tin cans and fishing line is cheaper than radios. You're absolutely right. And yes, I have fishing equipment here. No problem. No problem. Guys, I'm going to get out of here. It's already after 7 o'clock. I didn't want to spend this here. We've been on the air for a very long time now. Please, folks, please make sure you know what you're doing. Get a preparedness plan and stick with it. Write your preparedness plan and reevaluate it. Reevaluate it, and if you do that, make sure you revise your preparedness plan and keep it right where you need to have it, so you can always refer to it. But never forget it if you're going to bug out. Take it with you. Okay? You're going to need it. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I love you more than you ever know. I really do. I love you all. What you do affects me, and what I do also affects you. Rob 52 says, thank you for all for staying on the Ron's program tonight. I greatly appreciate that as well. We have 98 people still with us tonight. I greatly appreciate that. Because guess what? You guys are my family, and I love you all very much. That's why I take great pains in giving you information, so we can save all of our lives together. I love you guys. I miss you when we're not together. I really do. Ask my wife. I miss you all. You're my family. Brothers and sisters, just an idea here, as a closing thought here. I've talked a lot about the Apostle Paul and how he wrote many wonderful things to the people that he was speaking to, whether it be the Corinthians, whether it be Thessalonians, whether it be his best friend and partner Timothy, or the Philippians. Here in Timothy, I just love it. Here in Timothy, first chapter, and then we're going to go into the second chapter as well. First chapter, verse 8. But we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully. If a man use it lawfully. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, for the ungodly and for sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and mothers and children, and manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, for perjured persons, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine, according to the glorious gospel of the blessed God, which was committed to my trust. Good old Paul. Good old Paul. Then in verse 12, just like in the beginning of every chapter where Paul is writing, I thank Jesus Christ our Lord, who hath enabled me, for that he counted me faithful, putting me into the ministry. That's just like Paul. In Philippians, the first chapter, verses 3, 4, and 5, Paul says, I thank my God for every remembrance of you. I've shared that scripture with hundreds of people over the years because I love you and I care for you. You're my family. You're important family members. Also in chapter 2, verses 7 and 8. And this is where I'll close. Whereunto I am ordained a preacher and apostle, I speak the truth in Christ, and lie not. A teacher of the Gentiles in faith and verity. I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. Isn't that what we should be doing? lifting up our hands and helping each other and loving each other and using our hands to bless other people? Isn't this what Jesus Christ and our Heavenly Father would want of us? I hope that's the case with each one of you. My buddy Don Patoka says, tune into prayer with Heavenly Father for the still small voice of guidance, as each of us are unique in our circumstances. So true. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I care for you. I care for each one of you. I wouldn't be here without you. Please subscribe to this channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And when you subscribe, click on that little bell icon. There's a little tiny bell icon. Click on it. When you click on it, there will be a drop-down menu of 3 items. Click on the word ALL. That should get you notified when we come on the air. We can come on the air in the middle of the night, the middle of the day, anytime. Usually during the week we come on the air just after 6 p.m. between 6 and 7. Sometimes it might be a little bit later, but rarely. But we come on the air between 6 and 7 o'clock Monday through Friday. Sometimes on Saturdays, if there's an emergency or information that we need to pass on, we'll be on the air on Saturday. Tomorrow I'll probably do a special broadcast once I get this last bit of information from my computer, and we'll be on the air permanently. So I'll probably be on the air for a short while tomorrow during the day. Sunday, I will be coming on the air every Sunday, and I've been doing this for years now. I come on the air with a program, a Sunday school class that we call Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. Come follow me, the Savior said. Brothers and sisters, I love the Savior Jesus Christ. I love our Heavenly Father. And I want the best for each one of you. I do. I pray for each and every one of you every day. And I keep you in my prayer because I care about you and I love you. Please do that for each one of you, for your families and loved ones. Keep yourselves in prayer because prayer lifts us all up. Brothers and sisters, family, loved ones, I care about you. I love you dearly. You're my world. God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you on the other side. Have a great night, everyone. Be safe. Keep each other in prayer and love each other. That's the most important thing I can think of right now. Love each other. We will talk to you soon. God be with you until we meet again. Good night, everyone. Much love.